Guerrilla cricket. Whoa. Guerrilla cricket. Whoa. Guerrilla. Take guard, man the barricades, patrol the cover boundary. At last the time has come, this is a cricketing emergency. Hear this call to arms for every cricket revolutionary. Take up your bats and stumps for the test match insurgency. At first they tried to silence us, but we would not be silenced. They threatened us with lies, so we threatened them with violence. Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin. Guerrilla cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice to take. Pick guerrilla cricket, it's the finest choice you'll ever make. There's so much more to cricket than rev counters and a slice of cake. At first they tried to sanitize us and clean up our act, but people like it filthy, and we know that for a fact. Fidel Castro, Lenny Pascoe, Carlos the Jackal, Umar Akmal, Mahatma Gandhi, Grant and Andy, Brendan Behan, Austin Ian. Guerrilla cricket. Stick with us, cause you know we're not the kind of thing that you see on the TV and the radio. So vive la revolution. First they tried to buy us, but we would not be bought. Okay, we were, but then we ran away, and we will not be caught. We would not give up the ghost when they left us all for dead. They decapitated us, but we just grew another head. Chairman Mao, Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin. Guerrilla cricket.
Well, you may have read the story about the time traveller from 2714 who's come back to warn us all of an alien invasion this week. The little green men from Mars ought not to be too open about it, or they'll find themselves drafted into the England squad. 2 spinners drop out, and another who wasn't in the original 17 comes in. One of the most senior bowlers is confined to the sidelines, while the other passes a late fitness test. And then we get to the batting. The less said about that, apart from Joe Root, the better. India find themselves on firmer, less disruptive ground, and maybe a bit peeved rain ruined their chances of opening up a 1-0 gap at Trent Bridge last weekend. Good morning, good afternoon, good dawn, good dusk. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to Guerrilla Cricket. I'm Gorilla Hendo, Nigel Henderson, and we moved on to Lords, the home of cricket, for the second test. Drizzle was in the air, we've had a slight delay, but it seems to be brightening, and the team and toss news is that Virat Kohli has lost his 9th successive coin toss in England. Which means that Joe Root had to make the decision, and the decision he made was for England to bowl. And don't let anyone tell you that's because they have no idea how this batting lineup is going to utilise the conditions. I'm joined this morning, first off, by Tony, all the way from the Claygate rainforest, and the bear.
Morning all.
He's there, he's in situ, he's in the sort of a forest, Sydenham, and I welcome them both along.
Good morning all.
What do we make of this? Well, I'll tell you what we make of this. Strange things have happened. England made changes to their batting lineup and their bowling lineup. As I said, Anderson comes in. Anderson stays. Moeen comes in. We've lost Stuart Broad, injured, but also we've lost Crawley and Lawrence. They are both jettisoned, and Hasib Hamid comes in for his first test since 2016. And the statistics you can get from Hasib Hamid's recent years are quite phenomenal, phenomenally bad in some situations. But we hope that this is the second coming of Hasib Hamid. What do we make of Moeen Ali, guys? I mean, basically brought back into the test team because he's thrashed a few balls around it for the Birmingham Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it? I thought he was jettisoned too early. He was treated pretty badly over the winter. I'm surprised he said yes to coming. In some senses, I'm surprised he said yes to coming back, because I think he's been mucked around as much as anybody. I like him in a team. I think it offers balance. He is a good batsman on his day. He might have been thrashing the ball around. He's still, maybe his eye isn't as good as it was 4 years ago or whatever, but he is capable of scoring runs, and I trust him in an England side. And he offers that option of spin without losing anything. So, I mean, that's why he was picked when he was, and he's got 200 test wickets, and, he's done a good job for England.
He's done well against India as well,
yeah.
And certainly going back 3 years if we can. Let's talk about the Indian side. Just the one change to their lineup. Ishant Sharma, the Beast of Lords in 2014, is coming back to maybe haunt England further. Tony, what do you make of that? Shardul Thakur is the man who makes way.
Well, yeah, I wondered if that was a predetermined move with his previous performance at Lords, which was 2014, wasn't it? He took that 7th.
Yeah.
When incidentally, of course, Joe Root won the toss and fielded. So I do wonder if they were going to rotate, preserve their resources a bit, and if you're going to play a bloke who's got a really good history at a ground, which he certainly does. I don't think they're any weaker for it. Certainly not in these type of conditions.
What, England, you mean?
No, India.
Oh, India. No, India. I think they're stronger with this, Shanty.
You would think so on paper, certainly, absolutely. What do we make of all these injuries? I've heard people saying now, with Broads out for the series, and I've heard people saying that it's because they're not playing enough. When they do come back, they put too many stresses on their body, and these are guys who are aging, 35 Broad, 39 Anderson. So actually the lack of cricket has contributed to their problems, even though Anderson actually does make it.
Well, I think there is something in that. I mean, look at football early season. How many players, you get to the first game of the season and there's about 3 players out injured. You go, what the fuck have they been doing? They haven't actually been playing. But, your body takes time to get into a rhythm of regular
movement,
match fitness.
Yeah.
And, if you look at Moeen Ali, where he hasn't played a first-class game in 23 months. He hasn't played a test since February. So it doesn't matter. You can smack a ball around in the 100 as much as you like. It's not the right prep for the test that's in front of him now.
Of course, the other change is that Mark Wood comes in for Stuart Broad. So technically we've lost a batsman, but have we really in terms of what their contribution is? I'm not so sure. Anyway, we'll come back to that question throughout the morning. England are ready to go. KL Rahul has come out. He was looking rather suspiciously at the sky, which is quite dark. And that is perhaps what moved England to put India into bat. Jimmy Anderson is going to bowl his first ball and maybe his last ball in the Test match. We shall see if he limps off straight after it. Let's jingle up the people taking part.
Jimmy, 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 aja, aja, aja. Jimmy, 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 aja, aja, aja. Jimmy, 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 aja, aja, aja. Jimmy, 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 aja, aja.
Popular sacred when I'm 264. Right,
so we're just
take that off.
Take into the jingles, because no sooner have they got out to the middle than they have wandered back
Oh,
to the
for fuck's
edge
sake.
of the field, and the covers are coming on. The covers are coming on. The men with orange and yellow ties,
Egg and
egg and bacon ties, are sitting under umbrellas,
Egg and bacon
brollies as well, looking every inch like who was that England manager under the brolly? Steve
McLaren, the Wally with the brolly.
The Wally with the brolly, and they do look quite Wally-ish. So we're not going to get initially any play. I don't think it's heavy. I'm not sure that we're going to see the whole of the square covered, but we've got the hover cover coming over the pitch. There are people who are braving it who have not huddled under umbrellas, and Joe Root seems to be coming back down the steps out of the long room. Maybe it's just to give Anderson his sweater, saying, "Don't you get cold? Don't you hurt yourself anymore?" What's happened to Jadeja's hair? It's gone crazy. It's we're seeing him sitting up on there on the balcony, and
the rain.
It does look as if he didn't find a comb this morning. Anyway, the umpires are out there with brollies up. Don't really think they need the brollies, do they? I mean, for goodness sake, who's having champagne?
Well,
Mousemen are having champagne. What is going on out there? It's all happening. Anyway, let's see who's joined us on the Twitter sphere.
Well, a few people have, I'm delighted to say. Eli Swift was saying, looking forward to seeing Hamid bat. You will have a bit of a wait. I suspect it'll be today, but maybe not. Mog says, look, I have to pull you up there, Endo. You said the English batting. We all know they don't have any. Also, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Mog. Andy Murfitt just says Jack Leach, and with a crying emoji. And
I get that. We're a shit country to be a spinner in. That's probably.
Well, this is, of course, the problem. Jersey Oak says, think it's time you got a new theme tune. Ooh, that's contentious.
What?
The current one is starting to grate a bit, and the test match so far, the cricketer debacle, will be lost on a lot of younger listeners. Oh, I know. I think he's arguing for something shorter, quicker, all over in about 30 seconds.
Yes, I see where you're going.
Will attract more young people.
Absolutely.
By the way, all of these changes and chose to bowl first, we're doomed.
Well, no, you know what? I quite like the make-up of that England side. I think, I mean, there was talk of fucking Johnny B being number 3, and I was like, oh God, please don't go there. But having done what, in fact, Grubby was advocating for it, and maybe Knackle as well, having Hamid at 3, you know, if he's got his form back, he looked a great batsman when I first saw him all those years ago, and I haven't seen much of him since. I just saw a couple of clips of him playing against Jadeja in that game where he got his ton, and he looked good.
He did. Well, now look, I've never met Jersey Oak and certainly never seen his bed, but I have a distinct feeling he got out the wrong side of it this morning based on the tenor of that particular message. But he is, of course, as welcome as ever. James Humberston says, morning Guerrilla Cricket and greetings from Finn and I and in Sydney. Lockdown with no end in sight. Cheer us up, please. Well, we'll do our best, James. A bit of light comedy has already happened. We were all out there ready to go, no ball bowled, and they all walked off again. I was speaking to my brother in Brisbane yesterday, and he was bemoaning everything that's going on over there. I think they've gone into lockdown again. And you hear today, I think was it Canberra? Canberra's gone for one case. For one case, and they're bloody mental, man. Well, I hope all is well at the Conservatoire, James. Messi Jazz says, totally disagree. I love the theme. Me too. So do we. Harriet Atkinson, bring on the beard. Mad old bat is really pleased to see Moeen Ali back. Yes, indeed, the beard that's feared. Messi Jazz says, morning all. I only just discovered that Facebook offers real-time subtitles which are remarkably accurate, though they struggle with Indian names a bit. Yeah, I use them sometimes if I want to read a message and I need to check what it says. Obviously, I couldn't read it out in the language it's in. Farong says, greetings all from Dhaka. Well, realistically, the odds for this test should be heavily in favour of India. Thought both of them may have got a call up to bolster the batting and especially the bowling stops. Wibble, wibble, wibble. Welcome to you, Farong. I heard you were on the move. I hope that works out for you. Obviously, we'll be thinking of you. Warren says, morning all, bugger. I think that's two separate thoughts. He was probably halfway through typing the tweet when the picture rather changed. Tests are first-class games by definition, Tony, says Ravi now. I'm well aware of that. Why are you telling me that? Just as hundreds are by definition at least 50s. Moeen Ali hasn't played a first-class game since February. Actually, I don't think that is true, but that's... No, he hasn't played it. He hasn't played a county game, county championship game. The last game he played, I think the point that Ravi is making was the test match in February. In February, it was. And yes, he hasn't played a game for 23 months of the relatively irrelevant county championship, is what you mean. That's your opinion, Ravi. You will know that I don't agree with it. Man, Ravi, you're turning into a real sort of... Leah says, morning everyone. England should be docked points for trying to play cricket in the leper colony they call a kingdom. Morg says, I did send a putative alternative theme jingle ages ago, but it probably sucked. Farong says, the phonics used to generate the words is reasonably accurate. No translation software is 100%, especially when it comes to generating voices. Okay, that's talking about the Facebook thing. Matthew Cullen says, "Morning, lads. Saw a great comment on the BBC. England are so concerned with picking bowlers who can bat. I think they should focus on picking batsmen who can bat. Fingers crossed for a good amount of play today." Well, I think we kind of agree with that, Matthew. Farong says, "You can be harsh at times, Leah. I like it." Messi Jez says, "I'm a little disappointed that YouTube has a real-time censorship. See what it did when the bear said shit." Oh, did it? When was that? Was that this morning?
Yeah, it must have been just a few minutes ago. Yes, absolutely.
And what happened?
Well, he said we're a shit country to be a spinner in, and the shit has been asterisked out.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool. That's cool. That's all right.
That's not a license to swear, but I suppose do you need one, of course? But there we go.
We do state this isn't for children, and when we broadcast.
Well, it is for children. Don't be so
no. But if you
uninclusive.
No. But if you
Broad-minded children.
Yes.
No. If you state it's specifically for children on YouTube, you can get in all sorts of trouble, man. You
Well,
can't do anything
for children. But
No,
it's specifically
precisely.
for everyone.
But you either have to make the choice: is it specifically for children, or is it not for children? So we are not for children.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
No, you have to make the choice. Well, Jersey Oak tells me if I did get out the wrong side of bed, I'd headbutt a wall. So there we go. So at least we now know the location of the bed is clearly against a wall.
Well, maybe he's done that. Maybe that's why he's so
Exactly.
Maybe that's why that would make me grumpy if the first thing I did when I got up in the morning was smack my head. TK says, "Don't you dare change the theme tune in early to make sure I catch it and listen until the very end of the broadcast." Well, TK, thank you for that.
You are our kind of listener. Our kind of listener. Absolutely.
Our kind of listener. Madan Mohan Sharma says, "I'm very happy that my both favourite players, Wood and Moen, are all back in the English team. This is the best possible team. If rain allows, then we will enjoy a real test match. We hope you're right."
Well,
Madan.
also I have to say, Wood is a good inclusion, isn't he? I mean, if
Archer.
No, Archer can't play, but yeah,
No, but-
obviously Wood gets you fast. But Ollie Robinson kind of takes over Broad's spot anyway, and there's some quite similar sorts of bowlers. And I argue that Robinson's probably better in English conditions because he actually swings it as well as seams it. Whereas Broad, he didn't really get a lot of swing in the last game. He more relies on seam movement, and there wasn't so much of it. So adding Wood to that attack and taking out Broad, not a bad idea.
Over on YouTube, Anthony Bush says, "Good morning, you lovely gorillas. How lucky we are to have the best trio up first." Well, there's a compliment.
There's a compliment indeed.
Leah says, "I also like the theme, even though it's a bit harsh on Starlin." What did good old Joe ever do to be rhymed with that monster Jardine?
Fair point. Fair point.
Well, I think I'm just reading again Duncan Hamilton's book about Harold Larwood. What a great read it is. If you've never read it, I would, even if you've read it before and hadn't read it for a while. I read it. I started reading it because I was doing my history of Trent Bridge for the last test, and I thought, I need to read that again. And I realised what a fantastic book, story, personal story, and history all combined it is. It's a beautiful read. Brian001 says, "Selectors should be required to issue an essay for each player's selection so an informed discussion can take place." James Humberson says, "Oh, tell your brother in Brusden to go to my show in the Briz Festival." And he sent a link for you, Bear, to send to your brother.
Oh, okay.
Clint Williams says, "Howdy from Houston. Hoping for a 5 for Jimmy." And I won't even attempt that
It's
accent
terrible.
ever again, Clint.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Well, it was anything that starts "Howdy from Houston." You've got to give it a go, haven't you? Messi Jazz says, "I can understand why the BDR would be against children." Don't quite understand that. Maybe I should move on. Mog, for what it's worth, I'd keep that theme song too. Peter Lloyd said, "Tony, you said that Mo had not played IO. I'm getting dinged for this. Played a first class game for 23 months, which isn't true, as you explained a second later by saying that he played a test in February." Well, yes, technically, although...
You mean a county game?
Well, no.
Yes.
People do consider tests and first class separately, so if you read any number of articles... they
Yes,
will
but when you
delineate
say,
the two.
but a test is obviously a first class game.
It's a technical distinction, isn't it? I
Yeah,
mean,
well-
if you do well at tests, you're better than the player
If
that
you
has only done well at first class level,
Yes,
which is
and
county
if you
level.
look on Cricinfo and you look at a player's stats,
Yes.
their first class stats will not include their test stats, which are delineated separately.
I know.
Oh no, I do. I think they do include the test stats in their first class record. Oh, sorry, they include the. Yeah, they do. They include the stats from your test matches in your first class record, but it is separate from your test record.
So your overall first class record, which is first class games and tests, is your first
It's included
class
as your first class
and
record.
then they
yes.
delineate tests because people are obviously looking for test performance.
So if
Yeah.
I'm looking at first class stats on Cricinfo,
You're
they
looking
will
at
include the test stats,
Yes.
which are also appearing separately above.
Yes.
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 Ah.
That's right.
Then I stand
right.
fully corrected, and you'd think I would have known that, but you.
Yeah, I thought
every
you
day's
would
a
have
good
known
day
that.
when you've learned something. I have learned something.
Well, it took you long enough to get there, Tone.
You're never too old to learn, Bear.
No, true.
You can always teach an old crow new tricks, whatever it is. Mog says
Magpie.
Mark Wood could use a new song though. Kind of go along with that, Mog. Are you suggesting one? In which
I think
case,
we've got
bring
an
it our way.
alternative. Have we not got a wood alternative somewhere?
Probably. We got
To be
fucking-
fair, he hasn't got the horse out for a while, has he? We've not seen it in quite a long
I
time.
know, but we do love that tune. It's like
I think he's
told-
playing down the horse angle slightly.
Oh, now look.
Mark
I've not even
Wood.
got through tweets, and we think we can see some players coming out. Mark Zip says, as OBO readers always ask, the fine folks Guerrilla Cricket are providing non-geoblock coverage of the test on their site, and also on TuneIn, YouTube, Facebook, Simple Radio, and probably a bunch more. Good wibble while play is suspended too. Thank you very much, Mark. Tim Everingham says, evening Gorillas, love to have you in my ears from an ever-growing gloomy city of Sydney. At least we have Uber Eats cricket and Guerrilla Cricket
Uber
to
Eats.
soothe our isolation woes. We're delighted to be with you, Tim, and just obviously hoping it gets better at some point
Oh,
soon.
I've got one
Rabbi
here.
Nair says Jardine is a hero. Sorry, I grant you he's a divisive hero, but he did win those Ashes, and he actually comes out of the book I was mentioning with some credit, really. A lot better man manager and better respected than you might have otherwise assumed, unless you've done your research into him. Farong says, whilst there is no play, time for medieval English word of the day, bolter, to dance gracelessly without particular art or skill, but perhaps with some enjoyment. Sounds a bit like dad dancing.
It does, doesn't it? Yes.
Basically dad dancing, from what I can tell, Farong, but it's always a good word to know. I may be employing some of that on at a party on Friday, although it will be outdoors, and I shall probably be cowering in a corner with 3 masks on. Harriet Atkinson says, I think it was the wrong choice of tea time treat. I got big fucking time out already. Okay, what's this say? Oh, it says she sent a picture of a chocolate bar. Leah says, even some Germans know that, but I don't know what the conversation was. Oh, tests are a subset of first class. Thank you. Well done, Leah. I stand fully corrected going forward. For all cricket lovers, Guerrilla Cricket is a great boon, says Madan Mohan Sharma. We Indians always thank God who induced you all to launch this cricket commentary platform. Your broadcast is of the highest order.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
from the core of my heart. What a wonderful treat. And the players are out, and we are about to
They're
start.
out.
I better
We're
shut
gonna
up.
Yes, shut up, Tony. Yes, and it's time for some cricket. Would you believe it? The sun is, I don't know, coming through. It's found a gap in the clouds, or it's forcing its way through a thin covering and looking quite bright now. Is that Saurav Ganguly in the house?
It is
I believe
indeed.
it is. I think he's there, head of the BCCI, of course, and we're about to get underway. Of course, it's pretty much the end of my commentary stint, which is bloody typical. 3 slips in the gully, backward point, mid-off. That's the offside field. I'll bring you the rest. Jimmy Anson coming in from the nursery end. First delivery to Rohit Sharma. There's gentle swing, nothing more. And Rohit leaves it outside the off stump. There is no run. How much is in the GPL, the Bear?
Ooh, £187, my man.
£187, and you have until lunch to take part in the GPL. If you don't know what the GPL is, I will tell you. It is where you estimate how many runs you think will be scored in total in the day, as Anderson comes in to bowl his second delivery, a little bit back of a length, pushed into the offside. Rohit, already scampering a few yards, is sent back by KL Rahul, and so there is ultimately no run. Go to guerrillacricket.com and go to competitions, and for every guest that you have, and you can have as many as you want, you pay us £1. That goes into the kitty, which is already starting at £187. So if 50 of you were to have a go today, the prize fund would be something around 215, 220, which would be magnificent for a £1 stake. Anderson in again, Fuller on leg stump, and Rohit is away as he flicks that rather nonchalantly down to long leg. Sam Curran does the fielding, and India have their first run. Rowett goes to 1. Go to guerrillacricket.com/competitions. Put your money where your mouth is. Estimate how many runs you think there'll be in the day. And as I say, if you get it on the nose, you get the money. And if not, it rolls over to the next day. We haven't had a winner for some time, which is why the prize pot is £187 already. But get on it. Let's see if we can get 100 people to take part today in the GPL. Kind of thing that helps keep guerrilla cricket going, and we all want that, don't we?
Yep.
We've also got a mid-on and a long leg. That's what I can see at the moment on the onside. Anderson trying to swing it down the hill and does so, but starts a little bit early, and Rahul, although leaning forward, allows it to pass outside the off stump and through to Butler. I'll just read out the teams for you, just in case you don't remember who was playing in the last one. For India, we've got Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, Che Bajara, Virat Kohli, Ajinkya Rahane, Rishabh Pant, Ravi Jadeja, Jasprit Bumrah, newly promoted to number 8, we believe, Mo Shami, Ishant Sharma, and Mohammad Siraj. Anderson turns again at the top of his run, past the umpire, bowls again, gentle away swing, left alone by Rahul, and there is no run for England. We believe they line up in this order: Dom Sibley, Rory Burns, Hasib Hamid, Joe Root, Johnny Bairstow, Jos Buttler, Moeen Ali, Sam Curran, Ollie Robinson, Mark Wood, and Jimmy Anderson. Who do we think is going to open the bowling? Is it going to be Wood? Because Wood kind of likes to come on first change, doesn't he?
I think it'll be Ollie Robinson.
Think it'll be Ollie Robinson?
I mean, that would
be
be
right.
my choice.
Yeah, a little bit of height, a little bit of bounce. Anderson in, a little bit too short, a little bit too wide. Going further down the hill, left alone. I'll do one more over and then we'll have a change. India at the end of the first are 1-0. Tony?
Yes, I will go to Facebook. Rohit Singh is with us and says, "Morning, good afternoon, Gorillas. Looking forward to the famed Hendo rant. Is there a ranting schedule?" He also thinks I would have known that. I'm going to do a bit more research on that before I finally concede. In the spirit of the 100, no jingles, tunes, etc. should exceed 100 seconds, but the tube rocks. Let me see. The wonderfully or less wonderfully named Pokey Bumfinger says, "Morning, Gorillas. Just rolled out of bed. Forgot there was a match on. Pleased to see Hamid back in the side and
Yes.
Wood getting a run out. Investing Hike says, good morning, sirs. How does it feel to see the summer game played in the rainy season?" Well, that's a very good question.
Well, we do seem to see quite a lot of that. Ollie Robinson playing his 3rd Test match, his 2nd at Lords, isn't it? So he goes to the big grounds, does Ollie?
Yeah,
3
well,
steps
yeah.
gully, backward point, mid off, mid on, mid wicket, and a long leg, fairly square long leg, I would say as well. We'll jingle him up in a minute. Let him bowl his first ball. He's going to be bowling to Rohit Sharma, and Rohit, of course, was left not out in that India 2nd innings. Finished on 52 for 1. In comes Robinson. Brings that back a long way down the hill, but fortunately for Rohit, it's good judgment that it's going to be bouncing over the wicket. A lot of stuff from Ollie Robinson is. I think we gave that stat out last week about how many of his balls are actually going to hit the stumps. But I'm wondering whether Rohit thought that was a little bit closer than he wanted it to be.
Yeah,
it's
quite
cleared
way
the
over.
stumps by a fair amount, but in terms of direction, it was fairly spot on. Here comes Robinson again past the pile of sawdust and bowls to Rohit. Fuller ball this time, but too wide outside the stumps, left alone by the Indian opener. And there is no run. Let's get those funky tweets in.
Yes, we can do that. If I can go back to it. It caught me in the process of trying to do a spot of maths. That's what threw me out there. Oh, here it is. Who else is with us? Peter Jones, morning all. I've got 5 days left of viral house arrest. This test
goodness.
match is a definite silver lining.
Absolutely. Robinson in again, Fuller and straighter. Maybe he's been taken to heart about the number of times that he's on the stumps, and that certainly would have hit them had Rohit not leant forward and defended it. And again, there is no run. Don't forget, of course, you can get merchandise from our website. You can read in-play articles that are being put up by our beavering writers as we speak. You will have seen some of them. Ollie Phillips is on duty today. Arian Surana is on later at around about 5 o'clock. So follow them if you haven't already done so. In comes Robinson, too wide, too short, and left alone. Tony.
Yes, indeed. We have a few people on Facebook. It's mainly our friend Rohit. Again, the theme tune rocks. Sorry, typo. He explains there. Let me see.
Okay.
Leah, king pairs averted by both Indian openers. Moral victory. Brian 001 says, will England continue to select Anderson when he's drawing an old age pension if it means keeping the bowling record in England?
Robinson in again, foolish again, met with the full face of the bat. Nothing more than a push, nothing more than a defensive stroke, really. But Anderson has to hare after it towards the pavilion because they're going to get a couple of runs. And Rohit moves to 3. India to 3 for no wicket. Just joining us. We started late after a little bit of drizzle. In the end, it was about 11:25. We thought we were going to get on at 11:15. In fact, we did get on before we could start. The rain came. We had to go off again, but we've got sunshine, and the weather forecast that I saw suggested it's going to be reasonably stable for the next few days, which is good news. Robinson in to complete the over. Bowls, hits him on the pad as it comes back. Excitement, but no appeal. Probably just spearing down the leg side. That is the end of the over. That unbelievably is the end of my spell. And after Tony has given you some more tweets, you will have Knackle in the chair.
Oh, so we're sticking to original timings. Okay. Imagine says, regarding the GPL, by the way, Hendo, what does it stand for? It stands for Guerrilla Prediction League. The session times have changed. Lunch is now at 1:30. Is that correct, Knackle?
Everything has been shuffled back by half an hour, so we can, in theory, finish it. It'll be, well, the GPL will start at 11:30, has started, and will finish at 1:30 lunchtime.
And Mog just wants to know, by the way, where are you finding all this new writing talent?
We whistled down a writing mine. In time-honoured fashion. Anderson in 3 slips await as he's in from the nursery end. A little bit of swing, but left alone by KL Rahul, who has not yet averted the pair, has averted the king pair, yet to get off the mark. Left alone, through to the keeper. There is no run as we get our first sight today, for the first time in 4 years and 8 months, of Hasib Hamid, no longer the fresh-faced youth, now the dashing, debonair man with the long hair and the beard. Looks rather good with it as well. I'm delighted to see him back, Moeen Ali back as well, and Mark Wood. So certainly popularity in England's changes as Anderson is in, and this is left alone again by KL Rahul. Dies through to Butler. There is no run. It's umpire Richard Illingworth standing at the nursery end, and umpire Michael Goff standing at the pavilion end. So we see the Rohit Sharma not being beaten on the inside edge in the previous over. The ball was definitely going over the top of the stumps, so no bother reviewing as Robinson's height, as Anderson is in wide of off stump, trying to tempt Rahul to have a drive, but as at Trent Bridge, he is not tempted, and there is no run. Your TV umpire is Richard Kettlebury, your reserve umpire Alex Wharf, and your match referee, who was busy in Trent Bridge, having fined both teams 40% of their match fees and docked them 2 World Test Championship points apiece for slow over rates, is Chris Broad. 3 slips and kind of a 5th slip, really, a backward point, an extra cover, really mid-wicket and long leg as Anderson's in again, 4th ball of the over, back of a length, and KL Rahul pushes to backward point where Hasib Hamid does the fielding, and there is no run. A gentle start so far this morning, as I'm joined by Jacob in 40, if we're reading the rota correctly.
I'm very much here.
Hello, how are you?
Yes, greetings from 12,000 miles away.
Yes, indeed, as the sun is breaking through the clouds. It looks like a lovely day now at Lords. A packed Lords with the new stands, the new Warner, the new Compton and Edrich. Like a lovely place to be. As James Anderson comes in again, it's like a mad LBW appeal to a ball that KL Rahul had got himself bodily outside of off stump to, but everyone went up. Anderson went up, and then the slips went up as well, but no one is particularly interested in the review as Joe Root, with only one side of his collar up for some reason, scruffy boy, polishes the ball and then looks away from the bowler. 1 ball left at the over.
I guess I'll join you because Jacob isn't here.
It's not doing a huge amount as yet. We do sometimes see the Duke ball taking a little bit of time for the lacquer to wear off and the swing to emerge. This one does swing, but is well wide of off stump and is left alone by KL Rahul through to the keeper. A maiden, India 3-4 after as many overs.
I'll hit the tweet trail. Rajesh Mohan. There's no extra bounce in the pitch. Very flat wickets. Yeah, that might be worth spending a bit of time talking about. And Gross Point Antifa. How long before the ECB blames its shortage of test-level batsmen and frontline bowlers on Brexit?
Well, they've already had the 100 being blamed for everything, so why not Brexit? By the way, but is the crowd noise on? I can't...
Yeah.
Okay, it's just not coming through on Zoom. Fair enough. Yes, if you are just joining us, India won the toss. England won the toss. India don't win tosses anymore in England. 9 in a row lost by Virat Kohli. But as Robinson is in, this one does zip back in towards Rohit Sharma, but he leaves alone. It was not always easy leaving when the ball's coming down the hill from the pavilion end, but he leaves. There is no runs. England won the toss and elected to field. They made 3 changes. Zach Crawley and Dan Lawrence dropped, and Stuart Broad out of the series with that torn calf muscle income. Haseeb Hameed for his first test in 4 years and 8 months. Moeen Ali and Mark Wood. Just the one change for India. Shardul Thakur, who has a hamstring injury, replaced, as might have happened anyway, by Ishant Sharma. That's a good delivery from Robinson, which just holds its line and beats Rohit Sharma, just jagging up the hill or just holding its line a little bit through to the keeper. There is no run. Ollie Robinson
What's your reading of the pitch so far?
My reading is I don't make readings on pitches 3.5 overs into a game.
Yeah.
to be honest, Lords does have a tendency to become somewhat flat in terms of just the pitch itself, but it can be very difficult when the gloom sets in. As Robinson is in, this is too wide outside off stump, and Rohit is very happy to leave through to Joss Butler.
Well,
there is no run.
We started off quite poorly, haven't we? I mean, we haven't bowled anything, not enough, with a new ball in the channel. It's all a bit too wide, or starting wide and going wider.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a certain amount of trying to tempt Rohit and KL Rahul, but they battled with great discipline as at Trent Bridge, both of them, particularly KL Rahul, who returned to the Test team after a couple of years out and looked very assured indeed. Rohit Sharma yet to get a score in this his 3rd Test in England. He defends this straight delivery back to Robinson, and there is no run.
I'm assuming at the age of 27 that Ollie Robinson's got plenty of experience of bowling at Lords, so the slope shouldn't faze him.
So just and this is his 2nd Test at Lords, but he's played here a fair amount for Sussex. Actually, I'm looking at it. First class matches at Lords, including Test matches. 4 matches, 29 wickets, an average of 17.55. But then again, he's been very good everywhere over the last few years. As Robinson is in, this is defended outside off stump by Rohit Sharma to the extra cover come mid-off, and there is no run. Rohit Sharma on 3, KL Rahul on 0. So those teams in full. England going with Rory Burns and Dom Sibley, who many people were talking about being dropped, but might have been harsh. Haseeb Hameed, captain Joe Root, Johnny Bairstow, Joss Butler, the keeper, Moeen Ali, Sam Curran, Ollie Robinson, Mark Wood, and James Anderson as and India going with Rohit Sharma, KL Rahul, Cheteshwar Pujara, captain Virat Kohli, Ajinkya Rahane, keeper Rishabh Pant, Ravindra Jadeja, Jasprit Bumrah, Ishant Sharma, Mohammad Sami, and Mohammad Siraj as Robinson is in. This is very wide outside off stump, and if that was an attempted tempter, then it was not sufficiently tempting, and this is left alone through to the keeper. A maiden, but a not particularly threatening one from Robinson from the pavilion end. India 3-0.
Yes, so, Leah, fan with a raspberry something, shouldn't Chris refereeing a game that includes his crotch spawn constitute a conflict of interest? They're very delicately put, if I may say so.
There is a word I've never heard before and don't want to ever hear again.
Yeah.
But Chris Broad has been match refereeing his son. He did become the first match referee, as far as we know, to fine his son individually last year. As we see Matthew Hoggart and Gladstone Small having some fun in the hospitality boxes.
Like one of those old Roman generals who don't mind sacrificing their son anymore.
This one that jags in from Anderson as he starts another over from the nursery end. I'm not sure if that was inside edge or pad looping up through vaguely short leg region. Anderson doesn't tend to like close fielders in position. Inside edge onto the pad, so it would have been caught at short leg, but
Horse bolted.
Well, they just don't tend to. Anderson likes to be fairly conservative with his field placings, and 620 wickets, I'm not going to argue with him.
Nah, that's fair enough. I like Hamid's look, by the way. He looks great.
He looks good, doesn't he?
Yeah, he looks fantastic.
As Anderson is in, this is defended from the stumps by KL Rahul, who pushes a single into the offside and gets off the mark as the Lucian debonair-looking Hasib Hamid with the long hair and the beard looks a little bit like Dave Patel.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I was thinking that.
But yeah, he's looking very handsome, and is in good form these days. Has recovered his form after moving to Nottinghamshire. Has had a good season in the county championship and got that 100 in the warm-up game against almost a full-strength Indian attack, which has got him back into this team after 4 years and 8 months. As Anderson is in, this is straight, and Rohit Sharma clips this nicely off his toes, really off middle stump, not particularly leg side. He just turns the wrists on it and gets it down to long leg and comes through 4-2.
With Anderson's little niggle in his thigh, do we know anything more about it's a niggle?
I don't know.
Because I have this horrible feeling about that game in South Africa or wherever it was that he declared himself fit and then was off 3 overs later.
It was the first test of the 2019 Ashes.
That's right. Yes.
At Edgbaston,
yeah.
Where he was fit and then wasn't 4 overs later.
Yes.
I also think back to Lord's 2011, where Zahir Khan did the same thing and left
Yeah.
India with 3 bowlers for the entire Test match. Oh, that was a little bit earlier, but I don't think they'd have risked Anderson if he were, him saying he wants to play and them playing him are two different things. As Anderson is in, this one swings but gently, and Rohit plays on the bounce to Hamid at backward point, and there is no run. I think if there was a risk, particularly with Broad out of the series, I don't think they'd have played him unless they think he can get through.
Well, unless there's panic in the ranks,
Maybe. I think the days are gone of just asking people, "Are you fit?" Yes.
Well, that's what we assumed last year in the Ashes, but they're clearly not.
Well, sure.
Anderson is a special case in point.
Yeah, he seems to have recovered. That was a hamstring injury, which he has struggled with a little bit. Anderson in, a little bit of movement away, but nothing significant. More just angled down the hill from the nursery end, away from the right-hander. And Rohit defends again to point, and there is no run. Interested to read before the series that Anderson had said that he'd seriously thought about retiring when he was having those injury issues in 2019 and in 2020, but his wife talked him out of it. Basically saying, don't be silly.
Don't be silly. How are we going to earn the coin?
I don't think they're short. I don't think they're short of a bob.
I'm sure they're
I've got a prime minister in Australia who just defers to his wife. What would Jenny think?
Well,
as Anderson's in, last ball of the over. That's a good delivery, which tempts Rahul and Rohit Sharma rather, and he draws him forward, and he's genuinely beaten on the outside edge. 3 runs off the over. India, after 5, having been put into bat at Lord's in the second test, are 6 for none.
Pirate Bradshaw, gentlemen are honest enough that a conflict of interest wouldn't be a problem, or some such gibberish. I think that's the Pirates' first contribution this morning. Thank you, Pirate.
Lack of, they've had neutral officials in Test cricket for 15 years now, and it's been probably the best thing to happen to Test cricket in my lifetime, to be honest. It's absolutely necessary, but COVID has meant that has become very difficult. There's only a limited set of officials, and you'd have to basically have them on the road all the time.
So you didn't think doing away with the runner was the biggest and most exciting thing to happen to Test cricket in your lifetime?
We did see a runner in the 100 earlier in the season. That was absolute glorious throwback chaos. The runners are silly, but no, neutral umpires has made the game immensely better. As Robinson is in, the 3 slips await. They're not troubled by this one, as Rahul is solidly forward and pushes into the covers. There is no run.
Quickly, Harriet Atkinson, talking of closed captions on Facebook, poor Thakur was always being bleep bleep bleeped out.
Shardul Thakur, yes, well, very well in the 2 innings. A good holding role at Trent Bridge, but is injured, has a hamstring injury. Whether he would have played with the chance Sharma being fit, who knows? But he did a decent job. Kayla Rahul has spotted somebody behind the sight screen, and so that's just being sorted. Those sort of old style, almost like a colonial veranda screen to stop mosquitoes that passes for a sight screen at the pavilion end is being closed. A man in a cream blazer sits down, and Kayla Rahul retakes his guard. Second ball of the over. In comes Robinson from that famous old pavilion. This is beats Kayla Rahul as he's forward. Plays semi inside the line, but he was definitely looking to play at it. Through to the keeper. There is no run.
That was a definite.
Yeah, a little bit of seam up the hill there from Robinson. This is giving me Glenn McGrath flashbacks.
Yeah, he really reminds me of Glenn McGrath, which is fantastic, you know.
Yeah, I've heard people say Hazelwood as well.
Yeah, Hazelwood too, but Hazelwood reminds me of McGrath, you know.
Yeah,
it's that kind of metronomic, just outside off stump stuff.
Tall man hits the deck hard, gets exaggerated seam movement and bounce. This is tucked nicely off the hips by Kayla Rahul. Will they just come through for a single? Yes, I think they'll just walk a single. Kayla Rahul will move to 2 runs. Basically just played
quite
on length.
Quite a long time since we've actually found a genuine new prospect in Test cricket for England who looks
a genuine
the part,
all
and I
time.
think-
Yeah, someone you think would be a stick on in the side. I'd agree. I mean, you have your
Exactly,
Woods and stuff
yeah.
who you think they're horses for courses. Pardon the pun. But he's a guy you think, well, he could be, you know, take over one of the roles of Jimmy and Broad.
Yeah, I mean, you'd say that about Archer when he's fit. As Robinson is in, this is full and wide, and a little bit of movement away, but Rohit was not going to be playing that early in the morning, or early-ish in the morning. It's almost noon. Through to the keeper, there is no run. I mean, it is a real sickener for England, and just for fans of cricket worldwide. With Archer out for the season, out for the year.
What do they know when he's going to be training again, or what do they reckon?
Don't know. Managed return to fitness, but he's not going to be playing any competitive cricket in 2021.
Is he out for, he's out for the Ashes. He's out for the Ashes. Then,
out for the World Cup, out for the Ashes, out for the IPL. Yeah, they want to get this right. There's a stress fracture of the elbow. This is left alone again by Rohit Sharma. Shouldering arms, a little bit like Ricky Ponting. Big step, and then the hands thrust above the head. Through to the keeper.
One of the reasons England did so well on that 2010 tour of Australia was they actually managed to field a full side for once. Can't remember any significant injuries. Normally, when the Ashes come round down under, massive injury list.
Well, I mean, Broad missed part of that series, but they had the backup. They had Stephen Finn and Chris Tremlett and Graham Onions.
Yeah,
that's true.
As Robinson is in again. That's a beautiful delivery, which angling into Rohit Sharma and then zipping away and beating the outside edge. There's not a lot you can do with that as an opening batter. You just hope you miss it, and he did. Robinson is beginning to find his range. 6 overs gone. India 7 for none.
Yes, the light roller. Joining you again from lockdown 6.0. My Melbourne buddy here. The extended version. A bit surprised Crawley didn't get another go. I hope you haven't seen the last of him. Not many batsmen score 250 plus in an innings. Hopefully Hamid has a good start. That's a nice, pleasant, optimistic, balanced post. Thank you very much. As you'd expect from Melbourne.
Yeah, indeed. A fusion post to go with Melbourne's fusion food.
Karen Nair might argue with that, eh? But,
triple 100, and it was dropped 3 tests later and hasn't been seen since.
There's a couple on YouTube.
Anderson is in. He squares up Kayla Rahul, who I think was initially looking to play that to leg, but just ended up getting a bit squared up by the swing. Managed it enough. Drops it into the offside. Dot ball.
Yes, investing hike. I don't think Tony did this one. Good morning, sirs. How does it feel to see Summer's game played in rainy season?
Oh, we had that one.
Yeah, okay, we're probably up to date.
No, we didn't have Pokey Bumfinger.
No. Well, we'll do Pokey Bumfinger. Honest question for you all. Do you think Sam Curran has the pace to be a fixture on the England team sheet?
I don't think it's about his pace. As Anderson is in, this is leg sidey, and Rahul works it around the corner for a single. I don't think it's about his pace. I mean, there's plenty of bowlers who bowl at his pace and can be effective. It's about, can he move the ball significantly enough? Can he be a threat for long enough? Can he provide control as well? And his batting, I think, is going to be a thing. I think he is kind of what you're saying, Bear, a little bit in Test cricket of a horses for courses pick.
What, Sam Curran? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think so. He's got handy to have as a fourth or fifth bowler occasionally.
As Anderson is in, this is very full and driven pleasantly by Rohit Sharma, but straight into the foot of Anderson, whose big left boot does good work. It probably stopped 4. There is no run. Yeah, his ability for lower order runs as a 7 or 8, and his ability to move the ball is useful in some conditions. See how much more there is than that. He certainly played his way into reckoning for the T20 World Cup as a potential first 11er this winter. As we welcome Jacob Jaffa for the first time this almost still just about morning, as Anderson is in fourth ball of the over. This is left alone by Rohit Sharma. Butler thinks, ooh, that was a close lead. It was close-ish, but I think it did most of its moving after it passed the stumps, and there is no run. How are you, Jacob?
All well, thanks, Knuckle. How are you?
I got a ping as a COVID close contact as 2 this morning, which is why I'm here and not in the studio. But other than that, fine. As Anderson marches back to the top of his mark, coming in from the nursery end. Dark red duke in his hand. This is again left alone by Rohit Sharma, and there is no run. The Dark Red Duke, not the Lost Bowie album.
Is there a Lost Bowie album? I'm not sure there was. There might be one.
Someone will turn up in someone's basement, or they'll go on Antique Roadshow with it and make about a squadrillion pounds. Last ball of Anderson's fourth over, the 7th of the morning, as he's in. Down the track comes Rohit Sharma, trying to negate the swing, but it was a bit of a chip and charge, and he ends up leaving it through to the keeper. There is no run. Anderson just dragged his length back. A steady start by both England and India. India, having been put into bat, are 8 for none after 7.
Leah, I'd referee test matches remotely from my home office. Just imagine I would fine broadcasters for having worn KP, etc. on, because that clearly brings the game into disrepute. I must admit, having listened to some KP over watching some 100, oh my god, he's getting worse, it is true. And the light roller, what is the logic behind choosing Moeen Ali ahead of Jack Leach?
Batting is the answer to that question.
Batting, yes, that's a very
I will say about Moeen Ali, I understand the logic. Chris Wokes is injured for this test match. Ben Stokes is out for a little while. Moeen Ali balances the side as Robinson is in, starting his fourth over. This is left alone by Rahul through to the keeper. There is no run. I understand that logic. I don't really see why that logic didn't apply before Trent Bridge as much as it does now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I think Moeen Ali's been. I think there is a valuable player in there potentially for England. We shall see how that all goes. He'll be batting at number 7 and bowling bowling some overs of spin. How much spin remains to be seen as Robinson is in, gets this one to come down the hill, and Rahul is covering up outside off stump, cautious, and leaves alone through to the keeper. There is no run. Pitch looks okay. A little bit. It's not particularly fast as yet. And a little bit of seam movement, but nothing extravagant. India just playing the long game. As we keep seeing signs of the great and not so good in the royal boxes, and in the boxes and in the members areas at Lords. Already, it was trailed ahead of the game that the president of the BCCI, Saurav Ganguly, would be in attendance. This is left alone again by Rahul outside off stump, a little bit closer to off stump, but he's happy to leave.
Back to Moeen for a moment. We have been waiting an awfully long time now. He's 32, I think, isn't he, Moeen? 34. You'd think he'd have 34, right? Okay. You'd think he would have he would have sort of cemented his place one way or the other. He seems to have sort of plateaued and if not gone backwards over the last 3 years.
Well, he was a regular and a very important part of England's team up until certainly summer 2017 and even 2018 when India toured. He was very, very important to that. I think is that a drop catch? No, I think it's a parried catch to the keeper, but no, it bounced in front of Dominic Sibley, so dial down the excitement. Rahul played at one outside off stump. It was a good delivery from Robinson that just kept coming into him and then zipped away, but soft hands, and it bounced just before Sibley, who volleyball digs it up to Joss Butler. So an edge, but short of the slip cordon, so no alarm and no run. Rahul playing with soft hands as Robinson is in again playing with very soft hands, almost Kane Williamson-like, letting that just run onto the face of the bat, and he parries it to Gully, and there is no run. Jacob, I think it would be hard to ask the slips to get any closer than they are. I think that's just one of those that was genuinely just played with soft hands and bounced short.
Absolutely, and with this pitch as it is, we saw a couple carry through from Anderson, so moving them closer could result in a couple going over the top of them, and the pitch is almost certain to quicken up with the hot, dry weather we've got around.
We can see on the TV that they are pretty close in there, the cordon. Rahul did well, having been semi-beaten. He leaves this through to the keeper. There is no run. First, not chance, but first genuine false shot from Robinson, a maiden and a good one. India 8 for none off as many overs.
Yeah, oh gosh, where's it gone? There it is. Martin Hadland. Yes, Annie, replying to Annie, but the RLODC should have been scheduled away from tests. Little enough cricket without this overlap. Fair enough.
Everything wants their exclusive window. There's just not enough time.
Yeah.
Anyway, we will have a change because we're coming up to 12 o'clock. And that change is going to be Ian and Jacob taking their leave, and Tony returning, and Nestle Boy for the first time today.
Fantastic, thank you, Knuckle. We're going to see Sam Curran too for the first time today. That was the Wahey, the unmistakable voice from the forest, Epping Forest, that is, of Nestlers. Hello, Nestlers.
Hello.
Shall we jingle up Sam Curran?
Yeah.
Is he a better or better?
Sam Curran.
What's his distinguishing feature?
Sam Curran.
His dad's from Zimbabwe.
Sam Curran.
And he's beloved by Liz.
Left arm over and away into the offside by Rohit, and there is no run. Innocuous enough looking delivery. We've seen a bit of swing, I think. We've seen the ball moving around a bit, but England will be frustrated, Knuckle, that they haven't made that breakthrough yet.
It's been nothing extravagant yet. A little bit off the seam, a little bit in the air. Nothing out of the ordinary for the first morning of a Test match.
Well, and a Lord's Test to boot when you have elected to bowl. That one does swing and takes Rohit high on his thigh pad. Was swinging far enough to go down leg and high enough not to trouble the stumps, I suspect, on that occasion. No run.
Curran into the attack, presumably to see if there is any early swing. Robinson's looked threatening with the seam movement from the other end, getting the ball to jag up the hill from the nursery end.
Yeah,
from the pavilion end. Sorry, very
McGrath. Just in front of Sibley, did swing, and it swung quite late as well, drawing the false shot. In comes Curran. That one holds its line a little bit past Rohit's outside edge and into the gloves of Butler again. There is no run. So it's been watchful and pedestrian stuff from India to about 1 and over, but that's what you're going to need.
Yeah, they're playing now to ensure that they're there later to take advantage of any easing in conditions or tiring of bowlers. There's no great ambition to do anything other than just bat at this stage.
Left arm over again from Curran, solidly forward by Rohit. England have those 3 slips in place. The pavilion looming large and magnificent behind them as Curran operates from that nursery end. The ball is in the hands of Jimmy Anderson, who we all thought probably wouldn't play, but he passed that fitness test and he is out there and survived so far. I think we were all quietly dreading as Curran in, Rohit forward again, way into the covers. No run. I think we were all quietly dreading he'd bowl one ball and pull up lame.
Yeah, I wonder if actually they're going to give him shorter spells just to
Well,
just,
if you have
just to
to
manage them a little bit more. You know, you've got Curran and Robinson and Wood. Although Wood, you wouldn't necessarily want to be bowling for more than 5 overs at a push.
Well, no, I mean, that's an interesting debate. I'll come back to it as Curran is left arm over and in. So again, Rohit just steers to short extra, and there is no run. It's the end of the over, and we should probably catch up with Nestlers. Who have we got, Nestlers?
We've got Manan Mohan Sharma, who's remembering the 1990 Lord's Test when Gooch smashed 333, and India was struggling to avoid the follow-on. I was there, Manan, for that. When 9th wicket fell, the time came, 24 runs were required, and Kapil Dev hit 4 sixes off a Hemmings over. Ultimately, India lost the test.
Yeah, possibly the most famous passage of play that was completely inconsequential to the result.
Yeah, indeed.
And I witnessed a fight in the stand in front of me, which was quite amusing at the time. The light roller says Paul Ganguly is being cornered by Boycott. He can't get a word in edgeways. Yeah, imagine that.
Robinson will continue anyway. That 333, of course, still remains the highest ever individual total in a Lord's Test. Ollie Robinson will be in, right arm over full, and just half forward by KL Rahul to push into the onside. No run. 8 without loss.
Warren says hoping that Root and Hamid are interchangeability at 3 and 4 depending on the situation.
That's not going to happen.
And the light roller says shouldn't Rishi Sunak be at work? Lazy get.
Aren't they in recess now? Aren't they in summer recess at the moment?
Is he passing the Tevitt test?
He's already been lined up for health secretary, hasn't he?
Or demoted, isn't he?
Demoted, as they've said, yes. 8 without loss. We're in the 10th over. Ollie Robinson is bowling it, and KL Rahul plays that in a most untroubled manner away to mid-wicket. There is again no run.
Always given the impression, KL Rahul, of having an awful lot of time to play. Very unhurried. Both of these two very unhurried. And Rahul, having not played Test cricket for 2 years and have been in a real slump for the last phase of his Test career, looked very, very assured throughout at Trent Bridge.
Well, Ollie Edward Robinson going very nicely. Took 5 for, of course, at Trent Bridge, 5 for 85, and bowled extremely well there. The thought that England may have neither Broad nor Anderson suddenly elevated him to almost, and short spells from Wood left him as being the real hope for England.
Yeah, Hasib Hamid, by the way, is going in at short leg.
I noticed that.
Lots of tape on his fingers. But Hamid under the
In
lid.
comes Ollie Robinson again with that man at forward short leg. KL Rahul doesn't care though. He flicks it past him and it's down to long leg, where Sam Curran is operating, and they will take a single. So the scoreboard ticks rather in its leisurely manner onwards for India. The key statistic one feels for them though is the 0, not the 9.
Yeah,
I think they'll happily take their time.
I suspect that if you looked at it in the first maybe 15 overs of the innings, that actually Rohit and Rahul might be scoring slower than Sibley and Burns.
Yeah,
over the course of this series.
It was an interesting toss to win, no doubt about that. Ollie Robinson in, a bit edgily to Gully, all the way along the ground though by Rohit, who, just to be sure, plays the shot again. And I think the second time round, when he imagined it, it was back to the bowler, solid as you like. The first of the two was a tad edgy, which is probably why he decided he wanted to play it again in his head the way it should have been.
Either that, or he envisioned the Kane Williamson just a little run down past the gully for 4.
Yeah, didn't look as that fully in control of what he was trying to do. Some in Robinson for courage, or some courage for Robinson, encouragement for Robinson. That's where I'm trying to go. I'll get there in the end. Forward comes Rohit. It's away into the covers again, and once more there is no run.
Pills, Tony, pills.
This is very enrobbening.
Very enrobbening. Ollie Edward Robinson. I keep wanting to call him Edward G. Robinson. Sadly, that isn't his name, of course.
Well, the other Ollie,
because he's got the Edward in his name.
The other Ollie Robinson, the Kent wicketkeeper, is Oliver G. Robinson.
Is he? Oh, well, there you go. So you've got an Edward and a G and a Robinson. Not Robinson, Robert Robinson. That was Call My Bluff, wasn't it, Nestlers?
Stop saying Robinson.
Stop saying Robinson. Barley water. Oh, I saw it's all going mad as this one's flicked her way into the onside through mid-wicket. And Moeen Ali is in hot pursuit. He puts in a slide. Every ball counts. Oh no, wrong form of the game. And it's the throw comes back in, but India will move on to 11. 10 overs are complete. Robinson's barley water has finished. that over for him. None for 6, and we will go to Nestlers.
Dave Carpenter says Barley calling, and he's a top fan of ours on Facebook with a diamond by his name. Well done, Dave. Leia says, seeing the ball thrown to Curran in the India match is genuinely more terrifying than the reveal of the fully grown xenomorph in Alien.
Okay.
Poor old Curran being compared to the...
Well, no, he's done very well against. I think that's a compliment to him. Remember, he had a fabulous series against India, didn't he, in 2018?
Player of the series in that
absolutely.
series, bat and ball. India have been talking about little else ever since when it comes to touring England.
But does he have the pace? I saw someone asked earlier, I don't know if we covered it, does he really have the pace
Yeah,
for extended stay in the test team? He's in, that does swing, but it swings in a way that helps Rohit just steer it backward a square and take an easy single. Sorry, KL, to steer it backward a square, take an easy single, bring Rohit onto strike.
I thought he batted fantastically in that first test.
Curran or KL? Curran. He made, middling scores though, but then everybody made low to middling scores other than Joe Root.
He provided useful lower order runs. I wouldn't say any more than
Is that bout? Is that ditch?
There is a man in the crowd who is mostly beard.
That one does swing, but it seems to be swinging not late. It's predictable swing, and it's pushed into the onside by Rohit. Again, no run. It is a fairly cloudy morning at Lords. We had rain. We had a rather farcical situation, of course, where the toss was held late, but held. We thought we were on for 11:15 start. All the players came out. The batsmen tapped their mark. We all settled down, and they walked straight off because it started raining again without a ball bowled. But we are very much in the action now. That one is flicked off his legs by Rohit. Up went the arms of Curran. He thought, oh, if only he hadn't got just a bit of an edgy bat on that, he'd have been slap bang in front. But the fact is he did. They got a single, and it brings KL Rahul back onto strike.
Yeah, if only he hadn't clipped me down to long leg, it would have been LBW.
True. Well, it was... You have to think positive as a bowler, though.
Oh no, I'm all for ambition.
It's the sort of shot that he played magnificently. If he had been thumped in front of the pad, everyone would have been going, why was he attempting that shot? If they work, and they look great. If they don't, well, you're a fool. That's the danger of batting. That one does swing again, but it's flicked straight to mid-wicket by KL Rahul this time. It's Moeen Ali that's stationed there, and there is no run.
Slight encouragement there from Curran that was a little bit fuller, and Rahul did this at Trent Bridge a couple of times where, flicking to leg, his head slightly fell outside the line of off stump and he got a little bit tangled up trying to play around his front pad. That was the only real signs of trouble that he was in at Trent Bridge, so I think Curran will be working on that, trying to target that front pad and get that head out of alignment.
I'm sure you're right. 3 slips go down. That one swings away, in fact. It's slanted across KL Rahul. Good variation from Curran. Good bounce too on that occasion. It's taken at shoulder height by Joss Butler, almost away in front of first slip. But there is no run. India, of course, only won twice at Lords. I think I'm right in tests. 86 and 2014. 2014, of course, when the toss was won by England and Joe Root put India in. In comes Curran, forward comes KL Rahul.
Magnificent 100.
Rory Burns, and there's no run.
Magnificent 100 in that match from Ajinkya Rahane, and then Ishant Sharma taking plenty of wickets.
74, I think.
Yes, 5 of them hooked straight down the throat of either deep square leg or long leg.
That is true. Nestlers.
Matthew Cullen says 333 is the highest total in Lord's Test until Sibley's innings later today, I think you meant to say.
Well, later today, Bigay be pushing it for India to bat and to knock up 333. Yeah. At Sibley's pace, they'd have to go back to timeless tests for the likelihood of that actually happening.
Leia says, seeing him having to talk to Boycott almost makes me feel for Ganguly.
Ah, well, cricket. This is proper cricket, Surav. Jimmy Anderson's going to be back into the attack, so he will get a jingle. He has a range of jingles. Which one have we got for him, Bear? He's bowling from that pavilion end, by the way.
Change of end.
Jimmy, Jimmy. Jimmy, Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy, Jimmy.
He is indeed bowling from the pavilion end. Change for him. Keeps low. And is wide of the off stump, 81 miles an hour. Obviously he's not express these days, but that was a bit of a a re-loosener.
He was getting up to 87, 88 at times at Trent Bridge, bowling with real rhythm. I think he was very, very threatening throughout. Understandable that he's just dialing the pace down and just looking for movement at this stage, particularly movement in the air. I have noticed that. Come back to that after this
Comes
ball.
again, that one jags in. There's a huge shout. That looks bang in front. No, says umpire Goff with a determined shake of the head. Now, will England review? Was there an inside edge? Don't think
Thought he hit it.
We'll have another look. Well, yes, that might be the other option.
Oh no.
No, he was
He's
quite high.
outside the
line of off.
Well, put it this way, Anderson and Root didn't really think much about trying to review that. I think the suspicion is that that's going over the top of the stumps.
Yeah, height probably. It was certainly a full-throated, confident appeal from Jimmy Anderson. He's in again. Similar delivery. Tucks Rohit up. He doesn't lay any bat on that again, but similar line, slightly lower, still not worth an appeal though on this occasion. We're looking at that one again. Pitched outside off, the impact was in line, and as you rightly said, Knuckle, on height, it was too high, and a good decision by Richard Illingworth.
Goff, I think it was saying. But
Was it Goff? Yes, it was.
Ball is coming down the hill from the pavilion end in towards the right-hander, and Rohit's just having to adjust to it a little.
Comes Anderson again. Wide of the off stump, left alone by Rohit through to Joss Butler. And again, there is no run.
I wonder if England and India actually will be a little bit more cautious with their reviews, having both. I mean, England in particular wasted their three reviews really ridiculously in India's sole batting innings at Trent Bridge.
Yeah, as he turns in front of that pavilion, he's in, flicked away to square leg, and an easy single. They will move on to 14, actually given us leg byes. So it was a bit of a flick shot, and on that occasion it was all pad and no bat as a result of the flick. 14 without loss. Frustrating possibly for England. I mean, they've certainly not conceded many runs, but a look up morning at Lords in fairly heavy conditions. You really want to be amongst the opposition early. They haven't yet achieved that, and they haven't really looked overly menacing.
The ball's doing a bit. I wouldn't say anything more than that.
Anderson in again, flicked, and Joe Root leaps high in the air with his hands on his head. Butler does the same. That was a bit of a wafty shot, but he has got away with it, has KL. He's admonishing himself. And it's the end of the over. None for 5 for Anderson, 14 without loss. India. Nestlers.
Madan Mohan Sharma says, we always talk about men's cricket, but yesterday Indian batter Simriti Mandana played a glorious innings of 72 in the 100. The way she bats looks fabulous.
Smriti Mandana has been my player of the 100 so far. She's played a couple of absolutely stunning innings. She is a delight. She's an absolute delight to watch.
Peter Jones says, whatever Robinson has in his bottle on the boundary looks very much like barley water.
Oh, very good. Well, we made a bit of a Robinson attack, didn't we?
Brian Barry says, good day and good morrow, cricket nerds from steamy Media, Pennsylvania, where the 100 is the temperature. Will it be as hot as balls today after all? Anyway, go England. Go England.
Aaron continues. Rohit steers to square leg, and there is no run.
Some of the Indian women doing well. Shefali Verma smashed Birmingham Phoenix to a victory the other day. Jemima Rodrigues has played a couple of stunning innings already, and Smriti Mandana as well, the Indian top order, going well in the 100.
Yep, decent crowds too, I think, for the women's matches, which is obviously good to see, regardless of the format. Curran in and forward comes Rohit. High elbow, solid defence. They shall not pass. And as if to make the point, he rehearses retrospectively exactly the same shot. That's how pleased he was with it.
He doesn't look remotely bothered by the fact he's on 8 off 44.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Is that curbing his natural aggressive instinct, or is he just sensible and playing the conditions? I think he is.
Both.
Well, both, yeah. In comes Curran. Slanted across Rohit this time through to Butler, who then immediately tosses the ball to his captain, Joe Root. And again, there is no run.
We saw this at Trent Bridge. It's almost an exaggeratedly cautious and watchful start from the Indian openers, relying on the lower middle order, Pant and Jadeja in particular, to do the fast scoring. Maybe a few more singles here or there, but it's very much an old school get through the new ball style of approach.
Easily defended by Rohit into the offside. Again, no run. Best of 4 for 74, Sam Curran, which he got in 2018. That was at Edgbaston. At Lords, he played in 2018. What did he do? Got a 40 and took 1 for 26. Got Dinesh Karthik 2018.
Barely needed. Chris Wokes and James Anderson did all the damage at the
They did indeed. They did indeed. He's in again. That one's very full, and it's whipped beautifully off his toes by Rohit. They're down to fine leg, and will get him 4 welcome runs for India.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
Very full, and there was swing, and Rohit just worked the natural swing that was already on the ball. It was a way off. Down the slope it went.
Yeah, first boundary of the morning, and leg stump half volley clipped away. Nothing extravagant.
Sam Curran, he's got 1 ball left of his 3rd over. Again, it's swinging onto leg and pushed into the onside by Rohit. No run. India have moved to 18 off 13. The run rate just a shade over 1.3, but don't worry about that, because there are dark, brooding clouds over Lords, and they will be very happy to have naught in that wickets column. Nestlers.
Leia tells us she has an MP3 of the 774 on her phone. The file name is The Ishant Show. Oxymoronica, in replying to us and another person, says, yes, sir, the erudite, entertaining team of guerrilla-tators are indeed a great boon to cricket commentary. We're blessed to have them, and must remember they don't come for free. Now for a few Indian wickets. Lamelo K. Habla says the Canberra outbreak has now officially grown to 4.
Oh well.
Sounds like you know them all personally.
Let's hope they're all right. And that one swings away a little bit from Jimmy Anderson, and KL Rahul followed it, but without really intent to play. Followed it as in kind of stepped across to watch it carefully, but never really looked like he ever wanted to lay a bat in its direction.
No, he was just monitoring the situation.
He was probably thinking back to a couple of injudicious strokes he'd played at Trent Bridge and got away with, where he seems to be putting that very much away in this game. This one's full from Anderson, and, not really. Combination of bat and pad nudges it away into the onside by KL Rahul.
Again, came quite a long way across his stumps there, and his head was a little bit outside the line of off stump. He's very clearly worked on the ball moving away, but the ball coming in, I think it's probably the bigger danger to both of these batters. We saw on screen a little while ago that Rohit is averages much more with the ball moving away than in. Certainly, I think Anderson, drag him across the crease, and then bowl the one that goes on or comes in.
Well, I think that's very much the plan as Jimmy Anderson is in. That is full, and it swings quite late, but it's pushed really on an on drive down the ground. They will take 2. They'll probably come back for 3. Mark Wood goes galloping after it, and they do indeed take 3 and move on to 21. 12 for Rohit off 48. 8 off 33 for KL. We'll have another look at that shot, I hope. Yeah, he just played it late, right under his eyes, didn't he, KL Rahul?
Yeah, good positivity as well. Got his weight into the stroke, even though it wasn't a big stride particularly, but he was very committed to the stroke. Good positivity, even if he wasn't necessarily trying to hit a boundary. It's a good sign.
Now, how are these two playing outside their crease as well, looking to negate as much swing as they can? Not so, I don't think, for Rohit, as he plays this nice and tidily into the offside with no run. 21 without loss. I think KL is batting just a bit further forward, isn't he? Or taking his guard a bit further forward than Rohit.
1 foot either side of the crease based on that last shot. Well, certainly Virat Kohli, when he comes in batting, probably a good foot outside of his crease. We've seen Rohit walk at Curran on one occasion.
There's that Ashley Giles we can see in the shadows there as well. Jimmy Anderson is in, and this one's flicked. And that's going to go down to fine leg again. Is there a man there? There is this time. And it will just be a single. Moves India on to 22. 22 without loss. They would have very much have taken that. Virat Kohli, who lost the toss again, as has been his recent wont, said he probably would have bowled as well. But as you have to say as a captain, but it gives us a chance to get early runs on the board. And they're taking that chance, not at any express pace, but cautiously, carefully, and so far effectively. That one there is past the outside edge of KL Rahul, taken by Butler at chest height. It's the end of that Anderson over. Wicketless again for him, tight though of course it as ever was. And we will ask Nestlers, who's with us on our multiple channels, Nestlers?
Well, Brian Barish thinks they should combine the men's and women's records into one table. I assume he means the 100.
Well, or just generally in cricket, but yes, in the 100 you have an equal start, don't you? See the competition, everyone's it started at exactly the same time across both men's and women's, so there is a logic to that. Not one I disagree with.
Farong has sent in a medieval English word of the day to you, Tony.
There was one from earlier. Is this a different one?
Well, it's a word to describe reactions of Russell. I'll break off.
Oh, Curran, this one has swung but played gorgeously. Backward a point by Rohit. Steered, really. And it's going to net him 4 elegant runs.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Little overpitched the other side of the wicket this time. Fair enough to go full and wide and try and draw the drive, but Rohit did very well there. Just opened the face, made sure that he was playing sort of with the movement of the ball, made sure that he wasn't trying to hit it very, very hard, and just persuaded it away past backward point.
He did indeed, persuaded it. I like that. He persuaded it to backward point. And this one edged and past that third slip, and that's going to run all the way to third man. Frustration for Curran, 4 more runs for India.
I think this bounced short of the diving Bairstow at that wideish on the extreme end of the slip cordon. Looked like it was a chance. It's gone straight down really off the edge
on the bounce past him. He certainly put in the dive. We're going to have this angle. This will give us a better view.
It was nowhere near him.
It was away from him. I'm not so sure it was on the bounce though. But yes, it was nowhere near him. I will grant you. So Curran has gone for 2 consecutive boundaries.
He's actually gone for 3 consecutive boundaries of his last 3. Oh no, 3 of his last 4 balls.
It's bowling. Suddenly India have found their way to 30. That's past the outside edge, and that one was a tentative prod by KL Rahul. Funny game, cricket. You've been slapped away for 2 boundaries. One of them was fortunate, and that one could so easily have moved KL Rahul. But encouragement for Curran.
Rohit Sharma.
Rohit, indeed.
Curran does have this ability. He's not just swinging the ball back into the right hander. He does get the ball to jag sometimes off the seam and move across the right hander. It does make the in swinger more potent, and Rohit was definitely playing for the ball moving in on that occasion.
Curran in, driven nicely through point. That is going to go the distance. Hamid is after it, but he's got no chance whatsoever, and it's going to be 4 more.
This is the London buses cliche stretched to its extreme.
Well, that was he was well out of his crease. It was dropped so far short. It was almost half pitch length. Didn't get up that high, and he had an eternity by Test match standards to guide it, persuade it, as you said earlier. I'd say that was more of a guide. Let the ball do the work, angle the bat, steer it. I think he knew from the second that ball pitched exactly where it was going. Curran in, flicked off his legs by Rohit this time. More work for the field. I think that's going to go the distance, is it? Yes, it is. It's another 4. India having crept their way to about 19 or 20 have suddenly pressed the acceleration button, and it's Sam Curran that's feeling the brunt of that.
And if you kids can't listen, then you bound to see the way you get shot for crossing a boundary, crossing a boundary.
Sometimes you get these overs that go for a lot of boundaries, and you wouldn't necessarily say it was poor bowling, but Curran's bowling both sides of the wicket, full and short here. We've seen one very good delivery, or one very good and one decent delivery, but 3 pretty poor ones, and all different as well. I'm not entirely sure what plan he's bowling to.
Well, that plan was just bowl anything that'd be a dot ball, I think, to be honest, as he's almost a one-day delivery, as it was pushed just that too far wide to allow the shot to be played. But he went for, was it 16 off that over? Not that great for Curran. Anyway, we're going to have a change. I think I'm staying, and it should be the inimitable voice of the bear who joins with me and Forthy.
That's correct. Good morning,
Hello.
boys. Hello. And this isn't what England wanted, was it? When they decided to bowl. I think India batted pretty well, I think. I mean, a bit lucky. A few gone outside the edge, but I don't think England have been challenging the stumps or the edge nearly enough with a brand new ball on the first morning of a test match when you've decided to bowl. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think they've been bowling like you sometimes see foreign teams, or overseas teams rather, when they come in and haven't quite mastered the Lord's pitch and bowl both sides and they haven't quite got a grip on it. So it's not as you'd expect an English seam attack who should be very used to the Lord's pitch. There's been a lack of discipline.
Yeah.
There's been one or two nibbles, and they could have got on a roll. There could have been a couple of edges there, but they weren't.
And close LBWs too, but hey ho, it's drinks now anyway, I think. Who's on social? Is that you, Tone?
That is me. I wasn't actually too sure where we got to, but I'll just work that out. Wilfie says, just settling down poolside in Portugal, already tuned in, and Wolves 73 is already tuned in Croatia. So welcome very much to you, no doubt about that. Delighted to have you with us. Madan Mohan Sharma says, both openers are playing cautiously, the sky is dark, the ball is new, which is seaming and swinging, and they know that Pujara is not in good form. Kohli is performing below his average these days, and Rahane is not so solid as he should be. Well, that's a very rather gloomy outlook from the Indian perspective, but the point is these two are doing what they need to be doing. I agree with that.
Similar perspective to we have as our English top six, isn't it, really?
We don't have Virat Kohli coming in at 4, but there we go. We have the mighty Jay Root, of course. Nog says doomed. I am Barish says, some people are working on mastering the Lord's pitch. I can barely figure out the Lord's Prayer. Okay.
You don't need to figure out the Lord's Prayer.
Boom, boom indeed. Time for wood to put them back in their shells, says our friend Pokey on YouTube. Sorry, Forthy.
No, I was going to say, Joe Root's. You'd actually rather have Joe Root than Virat Kohli in your team at the moment. He's just moved up ahead of. He's actually just moved up ahead of Kohli on the ICC Test rankings from 5 to 4, and Kohli's gone down to 5, and he's looking like the old Joe Root at the moment.
Who's at the top then? I presume Kane is in there, and is Piggy still out there?
Williamson 1, Smith 2, Labuschagne 3, and Root 4, Kohli 5.
Bloody Labuschagne's got up there. Jesus. Oh, it's going to be troublesome. I hope they cancel the Ashes. That's left alone outside the off stump and through to the keeper, and there is no run. Couple that with loads of English injured bowlers and unavailabilities because no one's allowed in the country, and it'll just be a shellacking.
Well, I'd like to see some Test cricket in Australia if possible. So
would I.
That'd be quite good.
Although it is, I mean, for you it's great, isn't it? You don't have to get up and be up all night. For us.
Well, spare a thought for me the rest of the year.
Well, that's true. That's true. Anderson is coming in. He's over the wicket to KL Rahul, who just drops out on the offside. Thinks about a run. But there is not one there as Rory Burns comes up from gully, fields it, and it's a dot ball.
So
I was just saying, look,
sorry.
No, it's all right. A roll 8 off 36. If this was Sibley, we'd be tearing our hair out, wouldn't we? Saying this is the problem we've got.
Well, I have to say, in the last test and in this test, whether it's luck design, I don't know. They have played and missed at a few, but you have to have that as an opener, and they've had the luck on that side. But they've been pretty diligent as openers, these two.
You want to make a big score, and your team makes a big score.
Well,
it looks fantastic.
Yeah, left alone outside the off stump by Roll, and there is no run. I mean, Rowett gave his wicket away in the last test, really, in that first innings, slapping long up, straight down, long legs throat. But he was looking good up until then.
Well, Rowell gave his away as well by getting run out from memory as well.
Did he get run out in the end? I thought it was caught behind in the end. Finally,
Who got run out?
it
Thought it was Rowell.
It was Rahane run himself out, didn't he? In the first
Oh,
innings?
sorry, my apologies, Rahani.
Stretching my memory back that far forth is tricky, you know.
I can't remember what I had. So asked me what I had for dinner 2 nights ago. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, no, well, yeah. It's funny, this thing called AJ. Anderson outside the off stump and left alone. Too far wide. I think that's been the problem for me. There's not, as you say, they should know Lords, and there's a lot of stuff that's hung way too far outside that off stump. It's, you know, it may get a dot ball, but it's not threatening anything.
So odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
You put your money on Jimmy having a fantastic morning this morning, but it hasn't worked out that way.
Well, that's why I asked about the thigh thing. Is it something? Is it, you know, it's one of those things where he's declared fit and everything, but it's something still just niggling away in the back of your mind. It doesn't allow you to put it in full roll. Anderson is in again anyway. That's very full, bit loopy really, and driven by Kerr Rahul up to mid on. There's no run, and doesn't Hamid? He looks like Jesus. It's great.
He does. Yeah, that's probably the most accurate comparison. He looks a little bit like VJ, the old Indian opener. He's not that old, but I'm trying to think of someone who he looks exactly like. Jesus is probably the closest you'll get.
Yeah, he looks very cool. I like it. Styling, man.
Obviously,
Styling.
we haven't got any photographs of Jesus to be sure.
No, we haven't. But you know, the old white guy on the wall, I don't think it kind of looked like that. That's played with very late hands by Kerr Rahul. Down to third man, there's no run. I'll probably upset a whole load of people there, but you know, let's be realistic, shall we? 38 for none after 16 overs. India. Rohit's on 29 or 56, got 16 off the last over he faced from Sam Curran. Surely it's time for the speed merchant Wood now, isn't it? We've had 16 overs. We've had 2 changes of bowling. Got to get him into the attack at some point.
Our friend Pokey, who was advocating that, indeed. Mog says if they can't have a test in Sydney, the Ashes will be cancelled because fuckwits, obviously a Melburnian there. Get lost with the lonesome drifter. What a Twitter handle that is. Says, listening again from by the pool in Barcelona. A couple of quick wickets to put pressure on. Personally, I'd have dropped Anderson for this. I think he looks tired. He's not bowled with huge fizz and pep. Light Roller says we're bound to be in lockdown anyway, and there's a gloomy face to accompany that.
Well, that's when it might not go ahead if you can't fucking sort it out. Curran is in and tries again bowling across Rohit, and he just defends that out to cover, and there's no runs. Not a great deal of swing out there either, which we thought there'd probably be a bit more of, to be fair.
I think the problem is, Bear, that they're absolutely determined on sorting it out. So one case, lockdown 7 days, which doesn't augur well for the Ashes, I have to say.
No. Didn't you get 50 my brother was saying you got 50 million doses of Pfizer, haven't you, or something? That's into the pads of Rohit, who clips that down towards long leg. It's very fine enough that, who was that? That was Robinson, I think, yeah. Comes from deep square leg and fields it, and it'll be 2 runs this time.
I think we're awash with AstraZeneca, not Pfizer.
But no one wants that, do they, or something?
That's the problem. We've had a lot of mixed messages from this pitiful government. And by that I mean the federal government, not the state government.
So what's the complaint about AstraZeneca over there? Because didn't they help design it, and you've got a plant that manufactured it or something, haven't you? That defence up to mid-off by Rohit, and there's no run.
I'm not an epidemiologist, but originally the Prime Minister, acting on the best advice from his health advisors, said you should consult with your doctor before taking AstraZeneca because there is a slight risk, which was enough to get the vaccine hesitant, rejecting it in droves. So hence we've had very poor vaccine take-up.
Wonderful. Sam Curran is coming into bowl to Rohit, who clips it. He's too much on leg stump, and that's been clipped fine again. And we know Ollie Robinson's quite square, and so this time he's got enough on it. It races down to the fine leg boundary for 4 runs.
There's not one boy for me, I must have 2 or 3, I need 4.
And the danger of choosing to bowl first is if you do it badly, you look like a bunch of numpties. And England kind of look a bit like that at the moment. It's all over the place.
Yeah, you've got to have at least 3 down by lunch, if not 4. Really,
well, it can quickly change around. It can quickly change around. I mean, I have seen games where suddenly 8 wickets go, and then it looks like a masterstroke. But that is prodded. It's pretty slow off the pitch. 80 miles an hour from Sam Curran. It's prodded square by Rohit out to point, and there's no run.
Yeah, you'd think it was a day for conventional swing, perhaps, rather than reverse, because probably the outfield is reasonably lush. I'm not in London, so I don't know for sure. Any prospect of reverse swing later in the day, do you think?
I wouldn't have thought so. It has been raining a fair bit here for the last couple of weeks, and as we know, and it's not been particularly warm. It's quite humid. Curran is in this time. That's played with a nice, very straight face, full face of the bat by Rohit up to mid-off, and there ain't no run, and that ends the 17th over, 44 for none. India.
Mogg says there may not be a Sydney if Gladys et al. Keep it up. Madan Mohan Sharma says Dilip Vengsarkar scored 3 centuries at Lords. I think this is the most by any foreign player. I'll check that, but it's possible. Mogg says they really should just bite the bullet and play all the Ashes tests in Darwin. For wrong says Cricket Australia has a back plan to counteract any threats of COVID interfering with the Ashes. Matches to be played on Heard Island, only 4,000 kilometres from Perth, and he includes a map of precisely where that is. Fourth, he speaks the truth, says Mogg. Our federal government is more fucking fucked than a fuckboy on Fucked Friday.
I didn't put it quite like that.
I don't recall those being your exact words, but the sentiment is there.
Absolutely. That's too wide again by Anderson. Probably a little bit too short, and maybe a little bit too slow. And KL Rahul just lets it through to Butler, and there's no run.
Yeah, so that was 82 miles an hour. It's not a great start to the over, is it? He doesn't look quite right. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, you wonder if it's in the mind, though, not necessarily actually in his fitness. Because having bowled 7 overs and not really having had a reaction, then sure your brain should go, actually, I am all right. You'd hope. Anyway, he's going to continue anyway, bowling his second ball of his 8th over. It's horribly wide, horribly short, further wide and swinging away. And Rahul just leaves it through to the keeper and there's no run.
Something's not right.
He looks angry with himself, doesn't he? He's just out
of
sorts.
He does.
But if he does it again, I'm sorry, then management have something to answer for, because it'd be the 3rd time that he's declared himself fit or been declared fit, whichever way you want to look at it. And it's clearly it's wishful thinking. You can't do it 3 times in the space of a year and a half in important test matches and say it's anything but wishful thinking that they want him to be fit, and when it's not actually the case.
We've all seen it, haven't we, though? The star striker in the football team. Go on, mate, you can do it. Declare yourself fit. We need goals this afternoon. Go on, up you go.
I know. And suddenly, with Wokes not fit and what's his name, with a back problems, Ollie Stone, and obviously Jofra out. Suddenly, from what was massive bowling stock, Saqib Mahmood could be quite useful here. That was left alone outside the off stump by Rahul, and there's no run. He was brought up to the squad, wasn't he?
Yeah, I would have thought Saqib Mahmood would have been a good call this morning. He's looking on very fine form at the minute. Absolutely. He was in the ODIs.
Yeah, totally. And as if by magic, he appears on screen with Dan Lawrence.
Yeah.
Do you think that was right, dropping Lawrence and keeping Bairstow? That one. Oh, now that's a better ball by Jimmy, just outside the off stump. Comes back a bit at Rahul, who plays at it, beats the outside edge, and through to Butler, and there's no run.
Well, whether it was the right call or not, you'd be hard pressed to say that going without Dan Lawrence is going to really severely harm the team. He doesn't look great at the minute.
Nah, he looks all right. He looks breezy, doesn't he? But another one who looks breezy and gets out. That's the problem with a lot of English batsmen, which is why I guess we put so much weight on these short form competitions. That jumps a little bit. That's another good ball, and jumps a bit at Kale Rahul. Catches the outside half of the bat. Goes down to second slip, third slip along the ground, bouncing a couple of times, and there's no run.
Don't seem to develop, do they, English players? I remember seeing Dan Lawrence in that last innings in India. I think I was actually commentating with you there at the time, and we were saying, well, okay, everyone else is collapsing. He's playing with a nice straight back, good technique. This is a good sign, but doesn't look great this summer.
No, but then he's had that many chances. I mean, we're only in the second test again. You know, I mean, he did play in the 2 tests against New Zealand. Didn't do a great. He had got a 50 in the second test, didn't he, or something? He looked good in one of the innings. There's only 2 tests ago. Oh, squared up. Kale Rahul trying to work that into leg side. Big leading edge goes out through point. It's chased down by, I presume it's Rory Burns, and he'll get 2 for that. Moves into double figures. He moves to 10 or 46 deliveries. Yeah, it's very Sibley-like. Row it on 35. Tweets, Tone?
Certainly. If I can find pictured by Dr. Dan of Rohit Sharma in action. Brian Barish has said everyone is out here listening near a pool or on the beach, and here am I with one fucking window, which he sent a picture of his one window anyway, which is a shame. Yeah, we do seem to have a few people telling us they're in exotic locations, reclining on a beach or a swimming pool and
normally
listening with us. Good for them.
Normally this time of year we'd have a lot more, wouldn't we, with travel restrictions.
Leah very quickly says England looking like numpties has more to do with limited gene pool on islands than the decision to bowl first.
Harsh, but maybe a little bit fair. We're having a change of bowling, and this man's coming back into the attack.
So here's to you, Ollie Robinson. Dizzy loves you now, you change your tune. You're not a buffoon. How will you bowl, Ollie Robinson? No one took more count.
And he comes in to bowl to Rohit, who's on 35. And his first ball's quite slow, but pretty straight, 80 miles an hour. It's defended back down the track, and there is no run. It might be nice if he consistently was 4 or 5 miles an hour quicker.
That would be perfect.
It would be perfect.
And we'd have the perfect bowler.
Yeah.
He's slightly Hazelwood 1.0. If we could get to Hazelwood 2.0, we would have the perfect bowler extreme.
Well, Hazelwood's quicker. He bowls at sort of 85 to 87 generally, I think.
He is now.
Yeah.
He is now. When he started, he was 82.
Okay. Well, that one's full.
Did a lot of work.
Swings away a little bit, driven out to cover, no run. Did a lot of work on getting his pace up.
He did a lot of work in the gym. I think they told him not quite fast enough for Australia. You need to go away and work at it. He did. He came back and he was 3 or 4 mph faster. So well done him.
Well done him indeed. India taking this first session. There's 40 minutes left of it. We're having a change in 10 minutes. And Robinson is in, and that's too far wide of the off stump, and left alone by Rohit to hit the keeper, and there's no run.
Very nice view there of the Lord's Long Room, and I do believe that's the biggest sash window in the world. Fact fans.
Ooh. I didn't know that.
Facts.
I bet that costs a fortune to fix when it goes wrong then.
Wouldn't it just? Can you imagine?
Sash windows,
Yes.
They take the piss, man, when they fix those things. Woody's looking up and wondering, why the hell haven't I had a go? This is the
mystery.
This is the third change
swing, I
we've had.
expect.
Well, they may well do, but that one's down leg side by Ollie Robinson. But they've had, 3 or 4 changes. They've switched them around, and it's not really worked. And 2 of the bowlers are bowling at 80. Well, 3 of them are rolling sort of low 80s. Are they coming off?
Yeah, I don't think so.
No? Okay. They usually do that one. Yeah, the umpire seems this would be.
They're looking suspicious.
Oh,
rain.
no, you're
There's
right.
Rain
rain.
has arrived. Oh God, here we go. Well, they haven't taken the bails off yet. They look like they're going to. They're discussing whether this rain is coming down, going. I'm sure England actually wouldn't mind getting off and having a bloody good chat in the dressing room, going, "Come on, lads, this is shit."
I think they may be.
It does look like they are going to go off. We've had 18.4 overs, and the ball doesn't go through the loop either, so we might come back with a better new ball. Who knows? It's only 18 overs old. Could get a better one at 18 overs old from the box, I suppose. But England need to think about this. Rohit and Rahul have batted really, really well, I reckon. They, like all openers, they've a bit of luck, been beaten on the outside edge, but just England haven't bowled at the right lines and lengths consistently enough. Too many wasted deliveries and not enough real ones challenging the batsman, I'd say.
So I'm assuming now that will be a lunch, won't it?
I don't know. There's still 40 minutes to go till lunch. They might do, actually, because it's 12:50 anyway, and originally lunchtime was 1 o'clock, so they might just go, fuck it, let's have lunch now. GPL shuts in 10 minutes, by the way, peeps. We have had, last time I looked, we'd had 12 entries. We've had a few more now. We've got 14 entries ranging. Someone's gone low. Ombre Nuevo, he's been watching and realised that rain's around. He's gone 187. Just pretty low. All the way up to Nestle Boy, who's really optimistic we're going to have a charge at the end of the day, because he's gone 331 as his top score.
So has the pot tipped over 200 yet?
No, it won't have done. It'll be up in mid 190s now. You got 10 minutes.
You have time to jump in then. Yeah, I was
10
about
minutes.
to say.
Oh no, we've put it. Knackle must have done this from home. He's changed it to 1:30. So you've still got 40 minutes to enter the GPL.
There's a few messages, of course. Tim Everingham says, on a positive note, New South Wales did have over 100,000 vaccines administered yesterday, and at that rate, we're supposed to be 80% fully vaccinated by mid-October. Whether that's just false hope, though, from the government is a question. Like Roller says, batting looks a lot easier now. England, in particular, currently need to bowl tighter lines. Why hasn't Wood had a go yet? Echoing your sentiments there. James Humberston says, hey, we are so much more generous with our COVID in Sydney than Victoria was. We haven't just kept it in the city, we are sharing it with regions and even other states and territories.
You've given some back to us, thank you.
Well, yes, Varong says, England clutching at straws this early into the test. Light Roller says, does Howard Springs have a square? The regions and the act, thank you, says Mog. Let me see. For wrong time for Mo in, worth an over or 5. Let me say hello to a few people on Cricket Tracker India who have been piling in this morning, for which we thank you. Hi to Ajit Yadav, Ganesh Rathore, Dinesh Buria, Swanup Bwane, Ravin Rathanyaka, Jenish Gayani, Omkar Ray, Surya Ragash, Farooq Khan, Tariq Kochi, and lots and lots and lots of people on that list. So welcome to all of you.
Let me do some YouTube.
Go for it.
Our friend Boki Bumfinger, who has one of the greatest names on YouTube, says, postpone the Ashes, with a smiley face. As it stands, we're getting our asses comprehensively kicked down under. I have to agree with that. We should take all the Overtons and Currans as spares. Sunit Mishra says, who's going to win this test? Wow. Too early to tell, but I think the initiative has been taken by India, as I would say. Rohit Singh.
Agreed.
Fools, he pities the fools in the Australian government, which he does. And Stephen Kirk says he's in a non-more exotic location of the Netherlands. There's a heat wave going across Europe. It's not reaching the UK though. It's stopping somewhere in the Channel. And we're getting all the shit that's just north of it.
Dangerous one too. 46 without loss, of course, England. Mac Kawara says, great broadcast, guys. If you don't mind, please give the more frequently score updates for those of us relying totally on your feed. We do pretty well on that, but
try to remember.
We certainly keep that going. Mayank says, the weather forecast when I went to bed at 6 a.m. UK time, the forecast was partly cloudy. Very interesting how quickly that changed. Yes, indeed.
Well, I to be fair, I just thought today, from what I saw, today was going to be like yesterday and the day before, which was basically quite sunny with a few cloudy patches, but didn't look like raining for the last couple of days. And then suddenly I woke up this morning and it was like, oh, that's really annoying.
I think the next four days are fine. I suspect there'll be a result without any difficulty. This is hopefully a temporary annoyance.
Yeah, I think so.
Grand Theft Auto had said, I think England's bowlers all getting injured and batsmen failing to deliver on promising starts is at least in part a failure of coaching and leadership. Silverwood and Giles, definitely Giles, no idea what he does.
No. Well, he swans around drinking booze, doesn't he? Pontificating.
I'm not so sure he swans around drinking booze, but what he does do is some.
There's a lot of glad handing, as they say.
Yeah, possibly a bit of that.
That doesn't
But definitely,
yeah.
we would say India's morning, wouldn't we? They'd be delighted.
Oh yeah, they'd be delighted with this.
Oh yeah.
And,
They'd be delighted.
and they've done pretty well. I mean, England have got to, as I said, they've got to go in the dressing room and have a chat with themselves and go, listen, that was crap. We need to be challenging the bat and the wicket more. We've bowled at Lords how many times? We should know how to do this wicket, and they don't, and they're bowling pretty shit. We've seen England do that before, and then come out after a break and have a completely different, thing. I mean, they come out after this break and get early. The batsmen are going to play themselves in again. It'd still be gloomy. Get a quick.
Well, I mean,
get a breakthrough.
The only thing you can say is that they're on 46, not 146.
Yeah.
They haven't got away.
No, they haven't. That's what I mean. A couple of wickets makes it look a lot better.
Do you know, back in 1986, which was after the 2004, before the 2014 win, India's only other win at Lords, India won the toss and chose to field on that occasion. It worked out for them. It didn't work out for England in 2014. I was looking at that England team, actually, out of interest. 1986. Gooch.
Oh, wow.
Tim Robinson, Gower, Mike Gatting, Alan Lamb, Derek Pringle, Paul Downton, Richard Ellenson, John Embry, Graham Dilley and Phil Edmonds was the England team.
2 spinners.
Yeah, indeed. India, Gavaskar, Srikanth, Amarnath, Vensarkar, Azruddin Shastri, Roger Binney, Kapil Dev, Chetan Sharma, Kiran Moore and Marinder Singh.
It's a good batting lineup
in that game. Graham Gooch made a ton, 114. Chetan Sharma took 5 for 64. Roger Binney 3 for 55. India, Dilip Vensarkar made 126. Dilley took 4, but for 146, so an expensive 4. Let me see. Kapil Dev in England's second innings took 4 for 52. And Vengsarkar made a few again in the next innings. Kapil Dev made 23 not out. And I think he might have got man of the match as well, from not recollection, but from having read about it at least.
Although England actually won the Ashes in 86, 87. 86, 87, 88, 89 were terrible times really for English cricket. Possibly a terrible run.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was a terrible run of about 10, 11 years from that period on. We won that Ashes when we were expected to lose, and we got fucking humped. I remember watching bloody when
in 89, terrible.
Mark bloody Taylor. I remember the first test, and he just kept edging shit through the slips, and ended up with
right.
And we had an opening stand of about 250 or something. It was really fucking irritating, and it just went downhill from there.
Yes. That's right. Well, we were reliant on someone like Phil Newport to carry the attack for us. Those were grim days, I've got to be honest.
They were. But then going into the 90s, it was just as bad.
Yeah.
See, the morning update makes us look really good, but these are about the only decent balls that we bowled.
That's very true. If I may, I can just indulge myself for one moment. I'll just give a shout out to my friend Adrian Gardner. I'll give a shout out to a recent convert to guerrilla cricket, my friend Adrian Gardner in Chiswick, who has I've persuaded to start listening, and he said really enjoying it. I went back to listening to the conventional coverage, he said, and it sounded very dull by comparison.
Well, there you go.
So thanks, Adrian.
Yeah, see, they have to stick to their stupid broadcasting rules. Bollocks to that, hello to you, Chiswick. Any more there, Tone?
Well, I was just going to draw attention, of course, to our website, guerrillacricket.com, and many articles which you will have hopefully found. If not, go and find them in our news section,
including one yesterday from Hendo arguing for a 3-test Ashes series.
Yeah, well, I think it was in preference to no Ashes series.
I think it was
not a permanent recommendation to change.
A bad argument, though, I have to say.
Well, exactly. Get some cricket, play it later. Then
I'll tell you what. I remember
in the new year.
I remember after the first test of the 2005 series, Peter Roebuck strongly arguing that England didn't deserve any more than 3 tests anymore against Australia. That didn't age very well.
No.
Apparently, so I'm looking at the latest article by Ollie Phillips, the headline, when you go and find it, I won't give the whole thing away, says remarkable stat on England's 11 suggests they may be going in circles. Well worth a read. I'm not going to tell you. It's got a couple of very interesting stats in there for anyone who wants to
There was good alliteration.
have a look at those. GorillaCricket.com news. Go and enjoy.
There was a wonderful alliteration on a story about Quinton de Kock as well, which I liked.
Oh, what was
The title, Quinton
you
de
recall
Kock
it?
continues stunning run of form with another 6-laden 100 knock. Good.
Very good. Where's the alliteration? Was there much?
Well,
in that?
no, just the rhyming, I suppose. It just works. I like it.
Okay, fair enough. Who else do we have? Let me have a look then, seeing as we're... did I see lunch is being taken? Did I see a message to say that?
Let's have a look on Cricket Info. It'll tell me. Another shower, nowheres, no fault. Hasn't. That was the last at 12:49. That was 11 minutes ago. You'd have thought that.
Another shower out of nowhere. Yeah, no, I'm looking at that. Okay, well, there obviously are. I'm delighted to say more people.
It does say 3 minutes ago on The Guardian the umpires have not called for an early lunch, which is puzzling.
Lunch at 1:10.
Lunch at 1:10. Well, they won't come back for... Oh, well, that's strange, but okay. Leah says, stop knocking Tubby Bear. That's very impolite. The man clearly has developmental issues.
Who? What? Huh?
I'm not quite sure about that either. Morg says, one of my favourite things about the 89 Ashes was the way they played Hello Hello in the lunch break. Okay. Don't think they necessarily did that over here. That might be what you were getting in Melbourne, Morg, I suspect.
I think 89 was the summer of 31 selections for England, wasn't it?
Yeah. Kunai Kana over on YouTube says, I think India will score 300 in the first innings. Oliver Hurd says, from 1986 to 1989, England didn't win a home test. I remember those grim days. Rohit Singh says, 40 pities the fools in Australian government. And many more of you there. Let's see if anyone else has joined us on Facebook.
Well, Kieran Donahue on Hot Mic says, funny you should mention Darwin. He's doing his quarantine at the Howard Springs facility there right now. Well, hello, Darwin.
Always 31 degrees. Always 31 degrees.
I thought
in Darwin.
When I remember going years ago when on my year off, everyone used to call Darwin Suicide City or something because in summer it gets up 50 degrees and 100% humidity. And it's virtually unlivable.
Oh, well,
if we've got a moment, my wife once got. She grew up on Melville Island, large island off the coast of Darwin, and once remembers getting her hand stuck in a mangle and having to be flown to Darwin to get it removed again by the main hospital on the mainland.